Okay, morning guys. Let's see who we've got in today. Probably setting the stream notification a little bit slow. But anyway, okay, let's get into it. Good morning. Well, morning if you're in Australia at least. We have a few on TradingView around the place. G'day, Nathan. Now, welcome to Trade Setup. If you're new to us, remember to subscribe to us at YouTube, and we've got or visit the website at www.tradesetup.com.au. And just go through the relevant links and join us on Twitter and Facebook and give us a like. Be good to follow. NEC will do. We'll see if we can get time just at the end. Anyway, we'll get up and racing. So I'm going to go through just the usual, take a look what happened overnight, see where things are. We'll start off with gold. Now, gold, we were talking about this yesterday, potential rollover, and it has just bounced back. It's still holding the lower high. You can see the lower high around 1730. It did get some buying, and that's probably more because the US dollar is continuing to go down. Now, it's a bit of a problem because you've got the US dollar has been going down, been supporting it through here, and then it's continued to go down, and we got sold off. It's still not viewed as a safe haven. There might be some buying into the markets at the moment or into gold at the moment, just because there's it could be a few cracks appearing. But then again, we've got numbers out tonight. US payrolls out tonight. Unemployment's expected to go to 19% or so. But it's kind of like a lot of people are factoring in a lot at the moment. I think to support the idea of continued job losses leads to stimulus and supporting equities. So we'll see how that goes. Now, so gold, what I'd really be just looking at to see if we start doing this kind of thing. Let me just change that. I want a straight line with an arrow done. Just want to take that off. All right, so I want to see if we can start to do this kind of thing. We could lead to a decent sell-off back down to sort of the bottom end of the range. The bottom end of the range, I mean this zone through here, to see if it can push down to around 1660 or so. Now, the fact that you can see this rising support trend line, it's broke there and it broke the previous low, is not a good sign. The fact that it's come back is one thing, but if it does start to, if it keeps grinding higher back up to this zone, I'm not so confident we're going to get a sell-off. It has to turn for here, and we have to see sellers come in from here for me to get into that one. Now, crude oil is another one I just want to touch on. Crude is, sorry, I'm back on gold when we're talking, missed it. There you go, CL. Crude looks like it's going to pop, push up through 37.50 and attack at least, sort of spike up through 38.20 or thereabouts, or 18. I think the 18 highs were here. See if we can spike up here. It's holding the inside zone at around 36.36. Inside support, so that's where you can see this chop from yesterday. That's the Asian session. I think my screen's shaking a bit. The Asian session here chopped around a bit, but then it started finding a bit of a bid in European session and lifted. So it looks like if it can hold a higher low, if this sort of inside level at 37 even holds, that for me could spike up and through. Just see how it goes. I mean, it's been a bit of a grind lately, supported by output cuts and continued output cuts. So we'll see how that goes. Now we're going to some of the indices. So you've got these indices here. What do we got here? The mini. So the mini is chopping around up here. This is the Dow futures chopping around, had a good run up, started to pause. These were the highs we got through 25, say 800, pushed it up, extended, backed off, but we are finding a bid at 26,606. Okay, you can see at this zone and through here, it is reacting up off that zone, and the trend is still up. We're still trying to hold those MAs. We might have to flush a few people out, so there'll be a few bears jumping in, on this sell-off like yesterday, and then the market's bouncing back again. So it is still bullish. It's probably just needs to rinse a few of these late buyers out first before it can reset and go. But at the moment, until we sort of break through this 2606, and for the bearish action, it might take some time. But if you do this kind of thing, then you get your higher lows start to form. That's what you don't want to see. A big push down, and then the buying back up again is not that strong. It means that sellers are starting to pile into the action. That's where it could roll over. But for now, if it holds this 2606 zone, it's looking bullish still. We'll just go over to XJO, which is the Aussie market. Bullish spike into the close yesterday. Sorry, on the open, did back off a bit, but it's gone through that 59.45 highs. It is getting a bit stretched up here. So if we can sort of hold that 59.45, chop around here and start to lift again, I think that's going to extend up to 62.70. That's sort of the target where I'm looking to extend. It's just, it is still strong. It had a big sell-off, opened up yesterday quite strong, pushed up, and then sell-off as Hang Seng opened. Hang Seng just pretty much opened, went straight down, and it dragged the indices down with it, but then they bounced back quite hard. I mean, it was a big bounce back from the ASX, and some of the Dow bounced back, and even the Hang Seng bounced back overnight. So look at that now. Hang Seng, it's, actually, it did try to go, but into the close last night, even though the Dow bounced, that sold off into the close. So the level now is 24,100. It looks bearish. It looks like it could potentially hold this lower high and squeeze out. So what it's going to do is squeeze out a few of these buys, and you can see longer term, it's touched on that zone up here at 24, was about 700. A few times rejected. It was getting held up at this bid zone here, went straight through, and I think that was in the China news in Hong Kong. And then it started to find support lower down, and it's been bought all the way back up again. I mean, the thing is, if it can hold this zone, even if it flushes out today and starts to pop back up above and holds, there's a chance it's going to lift back up to these highs and retest again, even break through longer term. But if we do a squeeze, hold, lower high, and then we're going to squeeze lower. So there's sort of the two areas, just to see what happens around this area once we open 11.15. Over to the euro. Those currencies are well and truly stretched. We're on the 30-minute chart. They are heading up, so the euro looks like it's still finding a bid, and if you can consolidate these highs where we are at the moment, it might flush lower and then spike back up and continue on. It just depends on what happens with the US dollar. US dollar is still sinking, still heading south, but it's heading into support zone where, look, you would expect some sort of buying. It may flush it out and then pop back up and hold a higher low, but I mean, still, as time will tell, it's still got some downside, I guess, to come. On the dollar, which would suggest that this is going to be spiking up into this longer term resistance around 115 thereabouts. So there's a bit of movement on the upside. It is stretched at the moment, well and truly stretched, but they are supported by a bigger than expected stimulus package. I think it was announced overnight. So we get over to the Aussie. Aussie is a bit of a risk trade at the moment with currencies. It's done pretty well. A risk on sort of a trade. It is, we got this sold off yesterday, then popped back up. Nice movement down and that's, if you can take note of that, you've got this sudden spike, then the selling just piles in, it pushes it down, it finds a bid. Price found a bid around 68.58, and then we pump back up, but the sort of speed with that rally was quite savage. So that was a bit of a sign that bulls are still here, bulls are still in control. And once you start to grind lower, that's a bit of a sign that, okay, the sellers are not as strong as what we thought they should be, and bulls are still soaking it up quite easy. They're soaking up that selling pressure, and then it starts to lift. This little spike through the high and then rejection straight away, not the best of signs, but is consolidating back on the MAs. This potentially a high low for that last-ditched effort up to 70, through 70 cents, which is about a 50 or 60 pip gain, if that's the case. So we'll be just watching that on the open, but notoriously during the Asian session, it doesn't do too much. It looks like a buy. It'll wash out people on the downside, just looking for liquidity. So just be careful. If you're going to be looking at buying this on the break, it might break and turn around and wipe you back out again if you get a tight stop. Pound, not much to talk about. That's again up to resistance on weakness of the US dollar. Bit of a flush. Didn't expect that flush. Thought it might have held, but it did flush down and bounce straight back up again. So markets are still, there's a bit of chop. And it's like as they get up to the high, they've got to flush some buyers out to reset to spike up again. Last few things just want to touch on is Bitcoin. We'll have a quick look at Bitcoin. Can we check Aussie? So gone over that. We'll do NEC. So I've got some time. Actually got through that pretty quick. So if you're wondering why I'm speaking fast, trying to get through as much as we can, is I just want to limit it to about 15 minutes, these morning sessions, and then the hourly ones on the Monday. So we're trying to get through the major markets where they could see some movements. And I think Bitcoin and maybe not so much Bitcoin, but if we go back to a 4-hourly chart, you can see what the views are here. You've got this downtrending resistance. It's been punching up into, backing off. We had this, resistance here as well that's come across. You can extrapolate across, which we just spiked up into, was rejected savagely just, I think it was over the weekend or a couple of days ago. That wasn't over the weekend, a couple of days ago. So that's where we're getting this resistance zone from previous highs. It did spike there, rejected. And it's just flushed out some of these. So anyone that's been looking at this resistance zone in here, coming up into it, would have bought it and then turned around and got flushed straight out. So it's cleaned up a few people, a few traders around there. But it is, for me, if we can't get up at this level, we start to look like we're going to hold a lower high, a major lower high than here, maybe back in around this zone, around say just below 10,000 or thereabouts, then I'll be looking for a short-term lower high, something like this that we can work a short into. All right, Ethereum, as a crypto trader, much the same. We go back out a chart or so, go to the 4-hourly chart. You've got resistance coming in. Come on, stay there and stretch. There we go. Resistance coming in there. We've got rising support. All things looking good. So if we start to get some weakness coming in here in the form of lower highs, selling pressure, it's worth looking at a bit of a sell-up, but it hasn't broken this uptrend either. So it's still coming to that point of agreement, as in squeezes between buyers and sellers. So longer term, it's yet to be seen which way it's going. Bulls will like to think it's going up because of this trend, but longer term trend, it's still getting capped. And this is about where we should expect it to get capped. So as long as this 253 level holds, there's a chance that this could roll over and at least test back down to 217 or 218 thereabouts. And Ripple, I was just looking at Ripple as well. Not much to say there, but same sort of action. You can see that's the negative action there. It is, I was deleting that. It is holding up off this support, so there is a chance this looks more bullish just to squeeze out, to drag in once it sort of breaks higher. But we'll have to see. What you want to see is a good break higher. You don't want to just see it get through a bit and then pull back, because that's going to drag in a few buys and squeeze them straight back out, and it could just chop around, capped between a resistance and support. So rather than go down, it could just go sideways, which churns a lot of people. All right, so that was pretty much it for those, and I'll quickly go for NEC then. NEC, it's holding the MAs as far as I'm concerned. It's not a good sign last couple of days. It just means that maybe anyone that's buying on the way up is thinking we're getting a bit stretched up here. If you look at the weekly, we're starting to get a bit extended. We've got a big sell-off, big bounce back at the MAs, and you can see those rejection candles around the 150 to 60. Not the world's best sign. It doesn't mean it can't go up, but it means that anyone that's bought it earlier is starting to maybe book some profits. We're running out of buyers, all these sorts of things. What would be ideal is more of a pullback, maybe hold this inside level of 130, even a bit lower, just to flush out some of these longs and then start to reset again off an inside high low, like we're seeing here, or something like this. When you start to rally back up. But that's your longer term. So off your weekly charts, the daily, we've got some good, a bit of a spike in volume there on a down day. Not the world's best, but it's sitting, as long as it doesn't take out that low at 150. Sorry, wrong one. At 144. Say 140, if it trades down to 140, it's going to flush out some of these. It's going to drag in maybe some more bearish action. And it'd just be interesting to see how it goes from there. So yeah, it is in an uptrend, but it's starting to show some cracks. That's pretty much what I'm saying. All right, guys. Thanks very much for joining me. Now, it's a long weekend. Don't forget the ASX is closed on Monday. I won't be doing any stream on Monday. I might move it to Tuesday, but no stream on Monday. Public holiday. ASX closed. Overnight markets will still be in, but there won't be much action in Australia, or if any. Have a great long weekend. If you are having a long weekend anyway, it is Melbourne and Sydney. Have a good long weekend, or have a long week. Have a good weekend. Enjoy, and just feel free to go through our webpage, have a look, subscribe to our relevant Facebook, Twitter, all that sort of thing, and YouTube, and then leave a like if you enjoy your content. All right, guys, thanks very much, and we'll speak to you soon.